Hello, it's Katie here with the Stargazer Lily tutorial. So I'm going to take you on my journey of from beginning to end, and let me preface this video with, I am not great at flowers, so I just started this out just sketching it, and it's not going to end up perfect in the end, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of help on where to start with a lily. So I basically just sketched out a little circle and added the little stamen pieces in the middle, and then I added the leaves. And now I'm going to add a bud. So what I was going for in the end is for the lily flower and the bud to be kind of in the foreground, and then everything else is going to be in the background. And I decided to sketch the lily and paint the lily first as opposed to doing the background, because I wanted to work on the Santorini natural with the flower. So I started out with some Quinacradone magenta and liquitex basics, and basically I just make a glaze with water and make it really thin, and then I'm just going to go in and start applying it to each petal. Now you'll notice I did change the leaves on the bottom. I added a little bit of a curve to them because I had them all too straight and it didn't look very realistic. Not that I'm going for super realistic, because the end result is not super realistic, but I thought it looked better with a little bend, and I did forget a couple of times throughout the video to record something, so I apologize in advance. You can leave the leaves like they were in the beginning, or you can put a little bend in them like I did. So I'm just going to keep applying. And what I do, and I'm taking you on this journey with me to show you from beginning to end, I do tons of layers when I paint. And I put something on, sometimes I don't like it, I change it. I go back and do different things. So I'm just kind of showing you how I work and how I put things together. So now I let it dry and I'm going with a second coat. I'm making a little darker, but I'm still using the same glaze consistency as I did the first time around. And for that tip of the petal that I was working on just now, I thinned it out even more to blend it in some. So I'm just going to keep going back and forth. And now I'm adding some white into the center. And like I said, this is all going to go in layers. So I'm just putting in a base for the rest of it. But then I'm going to go back and add more and change more. And it's going to be a journey. So now I'm doing white around the edges of the petals. Besides the rose, the lily is really my nemesis. I have really struggled with lilies, and out of all the lilies I've done, I feel like this is my best one. But I'm going to keep working on it because it's not exactly where I want to be in the end, but it's a start. So I'm going to keep adding white around the edges of the petals. And now I had kind of lost my line, so I'm taking a really fine, like, I think it's a 0.1 Copic, and I'm just outlining the leaves just to kind of give me that outline again. So now I'm going to go back, and I'm going to add a little more white. And keep touching things up. And now I'm adding a little bit of dark back in. So I'm kind of like molding it to where I want it to be. And you'll see me do a lot of smudging with my finger. I'm just That's how I blend sometimes. And it's just habit now. I just do it without even thinking about it. So I did go and add a little pink to the bud. And now I'm starting with green. And I'm going to end up using several different greens throughout the video. I have sap green and ultra bright green, and I'll list all of the greens that I used in the description so that you'll know everything that I've used. But that is the darker green. Actually, I think that's Hooker's green that I'm using right now. And then I take out the bright green after this. So I go and I put my first coat, and I also thinned that one out too. And I'm just darkening up different layers. Now I'm going in with that lighter green, and I'm going to put it on the underneath side of that leaf, just to have a different tone. And I'm going to put it to the left side of that long leaf. And now I'm just going in and putting some at the base, and just putting in here and there. And now I'm adding some white back in. So now I'm going to put the really light green in the center. And I'm just going to pull it out as if I was doing the stamens, but I'm just doing kind of a green pointy base in there first. And then I'm taking some glaze again in the magenta, and I'm going back around and cleaning it up to get the look that I want. Same thing with that top petal. I was like, I put white and then I took the white away. And now I'm going in and redefining my petals again because I lost them. And this time I'm using white. Now I'm adding some magenta back in that left bottom petal, sorry. So now I'm just going to go back and add some more white in towards the end. And I'm doing the same with adding some dark to the right bottom petal. And defining some leaves again. Petals. Sorry, I keep confusing my petals and my leaves. So now I'm going to take that darker green and just do a little bit of an outline. And I'm going to add some darker colors here and there just for dimension. And now I'm going to start adding the little stamen pieces in there. And I think I end up putting about 5. I'm going to make the little line first, and then I'll go back later and add that. I'm using red oxide I started off, and I'm putting the little ends on them. And now I'm going to add a little bit of orange to it, just to try to make it pop out just a little bit. And I'll rework those too in a little while. So now I'm adding some red oxide with some magenta, because I wanted to darken that magenta just a little bit. And I'm going to start putting all the spots on the petals that you see on Stargazer lilies. And I'm just randomly putting in dots and little splotches. And you can put some out on the white too, just a little bit. They're all over the petals. And now I'm defining the center again a little bit. Just deepening that magenta color. And now I'm going to go back over the top of those little orange things. I don't know what they're called, but they sure make a mess when they're fresh and real if you don't take them off. Now I'm redefining that petal. Doing the same, touching up the white again. A lot of the time I let coats dry and then I go back and I retouch. Now I'm going to start adding some grass in along the bottom, and I'm just doing all different kinds of grass and leaves, and I'm just looking for some foliage, really, just some different greenery, just as if it's in a field of grass and weeds or whatever. And I used a rake brush and I used a fine brush, so just played with all that and put it going different ways, did different colors. You can see you just kind of can be random with that. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not going for perfect here. This is ultramarine blue, and again, I thinned it out really, really light with a lot of water. So you're getting just barely a little bit of color for the sky. But I did keep it a little darker at the top, but you'll see I go through and I darken it. It's the same thing as with the flower. You just kind of keep working it until, you like it. And I'm going around and getting the edges. I like to get the edges. And I'm kind of doing it in a circular motion, so it already gives the appearance that there's clouds. But then I'm going to go back and I'm going to add clouds. I can't do a sky without adding a few fluffy clouds. So I'm just going back in, getting the sides, doing more blending, making it a little darker around the flower because I want those petals to pop. Now I'm going back and blending some more. Now I'm going to start the clouds, and I'm using a filbert brush, but this filbert brush is kind of used and abused and fluffy, so it makes really good clouds, and I don't know, maybe that's my secret on clouds, but I just put some out, and as you see, I'm using my finger again, and I'm going to bring in a little bit of blue at some point too, just to kind of give the clouds a little dimension or something. So they look a little more real. But again, this is not anywhere near realistic, so I'm just having fun with it. This is on a Santorini rock. I get my rocks from Santorini's by Shelly. She has a Facebook group, which you'll probably be watching this in the Facebook group because I'm making it for our plane ride. But if you see this and you're not in our group, you're welcome to join. We're on Facebook. And I will put a link in the bio. A link in the drop description to the group in case you want to join if you're not already a member. So now I'm taking a Posca pen and I'm lining the petals out. Just because I wanted them a little bit whiter. And now I'm going to line out some of the leaves. I just felt like they needed a little bit more definition, and I'm using my Copic for that. And now I'm re-establishing the petals, but as you see, I'm staying on the outside of the white. Now I had to fix a little bit here and there, add a little bit more magenta. So I'm just doing little touch-ups here and there, and you can leave it just like this if you want to. I thought I was recording the next part and I wasn't. But I'm gonna add in a tree. And oh, now I'm adding a little more to those things in the center of the Stargazer lily. So you're gonna see a tree pop in here pretty soon, and that's just something I did just on the fly, and I didn't realize I wasn't recording, so you don't have to add the tree in if you don't want to. So now I'm adding some nail glitter powder stuff that I got from Amazon, and I'm just putting it on the petals. And then I'm going to put Duraclear over the top of it so I don't smear glitter all over the place. And thanks to Rachel's Rocks Canada for that little tip that I got from her. I don't know where I would be without her guidance. So here's the tree, and you can put one in if you want or not. I tried to do it in the background so it's smaller than the flower. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great day. Bye.